We're excited to announce a preview of the AWS Well-Architected Management and Governance Lens. My name is Benjamin Andrew, and I'm a principal in the AWS services team that's responsible for building out this capability. And I'd like to introduce a colleague who's going to be speaking with me.
Thank you, Ben, and I'm Jennifer Code. I'm a Principal Technical Program Manager within the Financial Services Group, and I focus all of my time on cloud management and governance. So let's dive right in. So management and governance we see as foundational to your cloud journey. Governance focuses on the what, defining and achieving your organization's strategy, how decisions are made, by whom, and the accountability for the resulting decisions. So key outputs that we consider from governance are the articulation of your risk appetite. How strong do your controls need to be? The preventative versus detective balance. So usually codified in policies and standards so that the rest of the organization can then execute against them. Where management is focused on the how. So how to optimize the process, how to allocate resources. So management is responsible for the execution to achieve that strategy. So it's really important to kind of get that right balance. And as I've worked with customers across all industries, I've found that customers with the most successful cloud journeys have truly embraced governance and management. And they emphasize on leadership, getting the right people, putting them in the right positions and empowering them. The cloud expertise across the entire organization, from the developer experience to even the cost allocation and the models that change as you move from capital expenditure to operational expense, and then supporting tools and processes and really looking at enhancing your automation, streamlining processes, and really making sure that you can get the transparency for the cloud. So if I want to highlight, it's important that all three of these remain the focus, knowing that the ultimate success relies on having the best people in optimized processes supported then by world-class technology. So the strategic decision's been made. You're going to the cloud. So now cloud governance really becomes that enabler. So it optimizes the journey with how to assess services that you're going to want to leverage, how to onboard them and what guardrails you want to have in place before deploying, and then how to operate and who's going to manage that production operation so that it's secure, efficient, and meeting all of your regulatory, industry, and internal requirements. So once operational, then the emphasis turns to how do I monitor? How do I manage? How do I assess the ongoing effectiveness? And then making sure that you're providing transparency to all the stakeholders, your business stakeholders, your risk stakeholders, control stakeholders, and others across the organization. So the scope of cloud governance is broad, and we've included a number here to kind of keep focus on it. So attracting and retaining talent, define management reporting. So the key things that you're going to want to be reading out to senior management and making sure that you get the transparency throughout your journey. Streamlining key processes. And I found, irrespective of where you are in your cloud journey, from just starting out, maybe just getting your first workload ready, to maybe having almost all of your workloads in the cloud, my experience has been that there are areas of management and governance that can be optimized to realize immediate benefit. For example, streamlining key processes, automating your change management authorizations so that you take human approval out of the process. Access management and moving to an attribute-based access management process will really remove your review and approval processes. Extending automation capabilities for more control monitoring, so more and more monitoring, transparency, and information, and then enabling agility is another key one, integrating controls into your development process, into your pipeline, and really getting that whole end-to-end process to streamline your migration to the cloud. So transitioning from management and governance as general themes, now let's look at the AWS Management and Governance services. And we have a number of AWS services that support the enabling, provisioning, and operating of resources at scale in your organization. So in that top pillar, we enable your entire organization, from your builders to your operators, with speed for automated control enforcement. We have Control Tower that you can set up and deploy an environment consistently and with governance built in from the start. AWS Organizations allows you to enforce service control policies and resource policies. And AWS Budgets allow you to set budgets for resources and then track and monitor your license management, your compliance, and others. In the middle, we have our provision services, really focusing on satisfying policy requirements and, again, enforcing ongoing compliance. So CloudFormation for describing and then provisioning resources within your AWS cloud. Service Catalog, which is a great tool to help catalog and categorize those services that are approved for use by the broader organization, taking the decision of choice out of the organization so that they don't need to worry about it. And you've set up those controls from the start, so it's pre-approved and then pre-deployed. And Marketplace, of course, opens up a range of third-party AWS partners and others, which makes it easy to find, then buy, deploy, and manage third-party applications and licensing. And finally, operating the environment. So with speed and governance to operate the environment. So looking at CloudWatch to monitor your resources. CloudTrail so that you can get the audit log and trails to make it easy to record and track all of the user behavior in the APIs. Config to automate and enable the ongoing operational change. Any change in your environment, you're going to get that with config. And then for your finance and operations teams, for cost and usage to be able to optimize those environments as well. So really getting that organizational agility while achieving an evidence control. And of course, over there on the left, we have security and access management, which obviously for the permissioning, for that ongoing security of the environment. And it is this collection of services from AWS that really helps you achieve management and governance at scale.
So the exciting part about this program is that for the first time, we are pulling together best practices from all of our customer conversations, customers that hundreds of customer migrations that have moved to the cloud already. And pulling together all of this great experience is really critical to provide the right guidance for our customers as we build this into a lens in the well-architected framework. So how are we doing this? Well, AWS service teams that we're talking about today in the management and governance services have product management teams and customer advisory boards. And we're spending a lot of time with a lot of our customers to learn from them and to understand how they're using our tools in a meaningful way. And we're working with our professional services team, as well as our solution architects in the field that spend time with customers on a regular basis, and pulling that information in together alongside our industry teams that focus on industries such as financial services, oil and gas, healthcare, retail, and public sector. And we're pulling together all this guidance into one place that allows us to put together for the first time really the one way, the right way, or really the AWS recommended way to do each of these management and governance scenarios. So the idea is, instead of you having to figure out what other customers might be doing or how other customers may be building these capabilities and how they may be providing the management lens and the governance lens for your different personas, we're pulling that information together in each of these use cases and scenarios and providing that as prescriptive guidance. So it's really exciting to announce today a preview of an upcoming well-architected management and governance lens. And we will be posting this live on the Well-Architected site. So you can go to Well-Architected website and visit and see this new lens. And we're going to be providing this as guidance that would help customers to learn how they can continue to use existing third-party software that they might already use today in their on-premise environment. But as they move to the cloud, we're going to help you identify the tools that are going to actually continue to work well, the vendors that have actually spent time integrating their solutions with AWS services. So we're providing that guidance to these partners and helping them to know what are the important service integrations to make And how does that provide benefit for you as a customer? The benefit then will provide this framework in the form of initially of a white paper that provides you with specific guidance on how to implement each of these capabilities. And the benefit will be you'll be able to stay in control. You'll have the operational effectiveness and oversight that you're looking for. You'll be able to achieve that visibility at scale in a dynamic cloud environment as resources and data and applications change. We're also helping then to help your operations team to operate well so that you can continue these migrations that you've begun. Migrations are no longer stalling because operations teams are not aware of the best way to operate. So really excited to provide these best practices to you. And there's a couple of key scenarios that we're talking about today that will be available in the initial preview. And one of these is just bringing together recent work that's been happening, and we're excited to announce new integrations into the AWS Identity and Access Management solutions, including a single sign-on capability. And there's partners we've been working with over the last several months that are providing integrations to our single sign-on and IAM capabilities. And so the initial guidance that we're going to be providing is very detailed documentation on how to implement Okta and Ping and OneLogin with AWS SSO in organizations in Control Tower. So these capabilities are going to be provided with documentation on how to implement reference architectures, deployment guides, very, very prescriptive guidance on how to implement these integrations. And so we're excited to provide that capability today. And also, for those of you who are in the security operations side and your focus is on ensuring that you have the right visibility in your security capabilities, we have a couple of announcements there with security event information management. And the capabilities are brought together by solutions from AWS, including Security Hub and including GuardDuty, as well as the third-party solutions from Splunk and Sumo Logic, as well as solutions from CrowdStrike and Trend Micro. So these are available capabilities, resources that have been pulled together to provide you guidance on how to implement these capabilities in AWS. So we're excited to continue as we build out more of these capabilities. We're going to be pulling these together in the well-architected site under the lens management and governance. And there's additional capabilities that Jen is going to be mentioning here as well.
And for our final initial scenario, cost management, which is always a critical area to stay on top of. Often, many of our customers will select cost as one of the initial drivers for moving to the cloud. And it's so important to stay on top of the budgeting and the usage and really optimize the environment. So with AWS budgets, with cost and usage reporting, this scenario is really going to focus on how well you are managing this. Who do you have that is acting upon the reports and the information? Have you optimized your licenses, so license manager? So really looking at this balance of how do I stay on top of my costs and make sure I've optimized it so that I really can achieve that commitment that I've made to my senior management on the costs for my technology environment. So, are we ready to get started? Let's get started. So first, look at your strategy and understand your management and governance strategy for your entire technology portfolio. And really look at each of these and go through some of the examples we gave as areas that you may want to look and refine. Leverage the prescriptive guidance that we have at AWS, which will help you optimize key areas. Again, as I mentioned above, we haven't met one customer that doesn't have some area that they may want to work on just for their own continuous improvement. And finally, take some of these examples and the advice that we've given and refine your solutions to really manage your cloud health at scale. And that's all we have. Thank you very much for joining us today.